D-Lo 404 here. Alright, back one more time. I want to talk about Canelo. So, Canelo Alvarez now comes out basically saying that, in his mind, he don't feel like he took a loss to Floyd Mayweather Jr. Gained a lot from that fight, basically saying that, it was just a learning, a learning experience. That, he came into that fight, he didn't have the experience that Floyd had. Floyd had way more experience, and that was the difference in the fight. But, it's funny that Canelo brings up experience, because going into that fight, as a professional, Canelo had one less fight than Floyd Mayweather Jr. I think, without looking at it, I think Canelo versus Floyd was Canelo's 43rd fight, maybe. 44th fight. Maybe he was like 42. I think he was like 42-1, and Floyd was 44-0. So Canelo came into that fight with one less fight and one less bout than Floyd. It may have been the same, yeah. Because Canelo was a 42-1. I'm sorry, he's 42-0-1, I believe. He had that. He had a draw. He didn't have any losses. He was the bigger fighter. Had been fighting at the higher weight longer than Floyd. He was a champion at that weight, multiple belt champion, and also was considered the ring champion. So for Canelo to come into that bout with all that confidence he had, basically acted like Floyd was afraid to fight him. He called for Floyd, and also he, basically, the fight was in his weight division. Floyd was a 147-pound fighter. Canelo wasn't willing to come down to 147, so Floyd had to come up to his division. Granted, the fight was at a catch weight, but it was above the 147-pound limit, and Canelo got what he asked for. And basically the fight was so one-sided that the one judge, C.J. Ross, who scored the fight a draw, caught so much scrutiny behind her scorecard that she retired from judging fights. That's how lopsided the fight was, when you take into account that one judge scored the fight a draw. And even she came back and said that she thought that Mayweather outperformed Canelo, but somehow she found a way to score the fight 6-6 in terms of rounds. I get tired of hearing about, Canelo was too green, Canelo was this, Canelo was that. Man, I mean, truth be told, Canelo went in there and got whitewashed. And Canelo has had other fights in which he got outboxed. He just got the decision. From my vantage point, I felt like he lost the Austin Trout fight. I felt like he lost the Lara fight. I felt like he lost both Triple G fights. And I feel like if there was a fight that should have been a draw, maybe the second one was closer to a draw than the first one. But I felt like, his struggles with Triple G, being able to get past Triple G's jab, to me, caused him to lose rounds. And I had Triple G winning that fight, both fights. So, and even, when you look at the Kovalev fight, I mean, man, up to the point that he knocked Kovalev out, I had Canelo losing, like every round except for like 2 or 3, So, I mean, he's not this master boxer that people try to put on and pretend like he is. Someone with a stiff jab in his face, he can't get past that to save his life. You just got to be consistent with the jab. And if you ask me, that's why Jamal Charlo is off the table. That's why that man does not entertain fighting Jamal Charlo, because Jamal has one hell of a power jab, and he don't want nair dead, as Andre 3000 said. So, but that's all I got to say on it. D-Lo 404 boxing. Hey, Canelo, hold that L, baby. I'm out. Peace.